I will open the meeting for the Lee Select Board meeting dated July 1st. And before we get started, I'll just inform everyone pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, I'm informing you that all attendees are I'm informing all attendees that video and audio recording is being made of the meeting, so you've been informed. And with that, our first order of business will be the open session minutes for June 17th. Do I have a motion for approval?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the minutes as written for the June 17th Select Board.
I would second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next order of business, public comment. Is there anybody here in the room with public comment or online? I think I see one hand online. No hands online. No hands in the room either.
Just someone trying to get in.
Okay. If there's no public comment, then we'll move right into general business. Our first order of general business is we have a reappointment list here. And I will run down the reappointment list, and then I think we can move them all for reappointment if there's no objection to anyone on this list. So for the Agricultural Commission, there's 3 members that we would be reappointing for a 3-year term. Mary Britton, Gail Ceresia, and Peter Naventi. Board of Assessors, we have 1 member for a 3-year term, that's Conrad Decker. Board of Health, we have 1 member for a 3-year term, Carissa Vincent. For the Capital Outlay, we actually have 5 members for a 1-year term. Buck Dunneman, Matthew Filio, Peter Hoffman, Arthur Mack, and Patrick Rooney. For the Community Preservation Commission, we have 3 members, all with a 3-year term. Tom Unsworth, Steve Belafato, Lori Kropowski. And for the Conservation Commission, we have 4 members, all with a 3-year term. Kathleen Arment, John Cody, Mark Navin, John Philpott. For the Greener Gateway Committee, we have a number of reappointments to make, all with a 1-year term. Joan Angelo, Valerie Blum, Peter Hoffman, Patricia Johnston, Catherine Laird, Catherine Miller, and Dr. James Schwartz and Christine Schwartz. For the Jacobs Ladder Trail Scenic Byway Commission, we have 1 member for a 1-year term, Linda Sizz. For the Lee Youth Commission, we have 2 members for a 3-year term, Aaron Aubin and Joshua Bloom. And our last reappointment would be for the Sandy Beach Committee for a 3-year term, and that's Kelly Abdallah. So I would entertain a motion unless there's...
No, Mr. Chairman, I would, without objection, I would suggest that all of the FY26 reappointments be moved as positive, and that's it, as read by the chair.
I will second that.
And if there's no further discussion on the reappointment list, I would call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have a 1-day alcohol license being applied for by KJ Nosh, and this is for the Berkshire Municipal Officials Networking Event. This can be held up at the outlets, the Smithsonian exhibit, 17 Premium Outlets Boulevard, Suite B, 120. So if there is no problem with the application, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the 1-day alcoholic beverage license for KJ Nosh for the Berkshire Municipal Officials Networking Event.
I would be happy to second it, because otherwise the Berkshire municipal officials are going to be pretty mad at us. So I think we better do this, so I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we have a couple temporary sign permits next on our agenda. The first one is for Halfbrook Hill Farm, 258 Washington Mountain Road, and they're gonna put 4 signs around public land advertising for firewood, campfire wood.
For sale, I assume.
For sale, yep, $5 a bundle.
Yep, gotcha.
And I see they've paid their fee, have a check, so I would entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I would approve the temporary sign permit application for 4 signs for a 30-day period from July 2nd until August 1st.
We'll second that.
And
Okay.
have the chair sign.
Thank you. And if there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our next temporary sign permit, I think it's Frippery
I think
Berkshires.
so.
Is a consignment thrift shop that's new to town, my understanding. This is at 8 Railroad Street, and they're looking to have a I think this is a freestanding, although the picture that I have looks like a sandwich board.
It is.
Sandwich board. Yeah, so they're gonna place a sandwich board out on the curb, and 2 by 3 feet, 6 inches off the ground, the bottom of the sign, and we have a picture here. So I don't know that they paid their fee, but I'm assuming they did. Not yet. Okay. Well, if anyone would like to make a motion to approve contingent on the fee, that would maybe work.
Mr. Chair, I move we grant the temporary sign permit to the Frippery Berkshires business for the sandwich board sign contingent upon them paying the fee.
I'll second. With a comment, it does say they're gonna be 3 feet off the right of way, which is kinda tight, so I'm assuming that means they're not gonna obstruct the sidewalk. 'Cause
Right.
that would be the biggest thing. They're back far enough off so people can walk by it, but as long as that's done and fees paid, I'm okay with it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our next order of business, we have a Berkshire Gas permit for 40 Erskine Drive. And they're installing a new gas service across the street from the house. And they will be crossing the street. There's a note to attempt boring. And I did see that the police chief approved with no detail unless it's requested. So if there's no problem with this,
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I just have a question before I make my motion.
Sure.
Is this actually a town road or approved town road and accepted, or is this a private drive?
Erskine is still private.
Still
Yeah.
private, okay. All right, I just wanted to, in my mind, just be ready for that. But with that, I would make a motion that we approve the installation of the new gas service as shown on the application at 40 Erskine Drive and allow the chair to sign.
I will second that.
if there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next order of business we have on our agenda is the Board of Public Works correspondence. And we actually have a member here if,
thought we were gonna avoid them.
we are gonna,
Hold that.
table this, for further, actually indefinitely, I think,
At this point.
at this point in time. So that would lead us to the next, order of business. We have a regional emergency management discussion. And, I guess we have a letter here that we were intending to send to, the Massachusetts Joint Committee on Public Health. So, I'll read that. Dear committee members, we are writing, yeah.
You may want to do the discussion.
Oh, sure, yeah. We have a couple members here who would like to discuss, or Bob,
For
you wanted to say
Berkshire?
something about this, or?
Yeah,
Gordon?
this came out of, actually goes back a long ways. I first came on the board in 2021. And with the rest of the river agreement, I had many friends, neighbors, constituents express concern about what are we going to do if a truck rolls over? What are we going to do if there's a train wreck? What are we going to do if the... And so I started to look into what do we have in case of these, what contingencies do we have in case any of these things happen? So I went to our police chief, Ryan Brown, and he said, I said, do you have an emergency management plan? He goes, not really. He said, there's probably something from decades ago, but we don't really have that. But we have mutual aid, we have this. And I went to Chief DeSantis, he said the same thing. He said, and I've talked to him a couple times since. They said, we sure could use an emergency management plan, but we don't have the time or the resources to put that sort of thing together. So I started making inquiries as to, why don't we have an emergency management plan? I couldn't figure out whether we did or we didn't. I did go to a meeting, a Tri-Town Health meeting a few months ago in Stockbridge. Berkshire Regional Planning was there, and they sort of explained how it worked, but it wasn't clear to me at all. And I said publicly at the time, I don't know what it is that you do or how this works. Can somebody please explain to me? So we put together this letter. We let Berkshire Regional Planning know that we had questions, and I'm delighted that they've actually sent something in writing as to that answers most of the questions, not all, but most, about how emergency management works, their involvement with emergency management planning, and sort of a year-by-year listing of expenditures and what was accomplished during those years. And that is specifically what I was asking for, specifically. And that's great. My concern, particularly given the river, but not only the river, is that when I see what's been accomplished, which is a great deal, and also, as a prelude, let me just say, this is not to demonize Berkshire Regional Planning. This is an attempt to get information, that's all. And again, thank you for what you've sent thus far. But I'm 72 years old. I grew up in Great Barrington, and I've seen a lot of things go down in Berkshire County, including tornadoes, 2 tornadoes in my lifetime, one in West Stockbridge, one in Great Barrington with pretty bad devastation. I've seen forest fires. I was 15 years old. I helped fight a forest fire on the mountain behind DeSisto in Stockbridge, 15 years old, with a bunch of my buddies and one adult. But then we had, of course, last November, we had the terrible event down in Great Barrington. We have had hurricanes, not with great devastation, but then in 2011 we had Irene, which was only a few miles to the east of us. And again, when I started looking at what's in place in case something hits Berkshire County, a natural event, something like that, a hurricane. We've got the Housatonic River. Now we're dredging the river. We've got trucks moving. We've got trains moving. We've got Woods Pond turned into an industrial site almost. What do we have in place in case something goes wrong there? And we have had a couple of train wrecks since a couple of derailments. One in 2006. The one before that, there was actually one in Lee in 1976. So it's one thing for a train to derail. What do we do if a train derails and it's got several tankers full of high-level PCBs? I don't know. And I'm not sure, as good as they are, our chiefs, our fire chief, they're not trained to deal with PCBs. Who does the cleanup? Does GE come in? Did the subs come in? Is Tri-Town Health involved? I mean, I don't have answers to any of those things because, as far as I know, if there is emergency management plan, it doesn't really cover, from what I've read, doesn't really cover these kind of emergencies. And we've gotten figures since 2019. I know Berkshire Regional Planning has been around since '66, but I don't know how many monies have been any grants were received before then, but I just don't see where we have a plan. Lee needs a plan. I mean, I know each town has a plan, but we don't really have a regional plan for with our neighbors. What do we do in case of these things? And that's why they call them emergencies. They're unplanned for events, and I just think that, and I have professionals who agree with me, that there should be something in place to address these things. You can't anticipate anything, but we have to do the best we can to anticipate those things. So I don't know where to go from here. I haven't decided anything. I'm just looking for information to figure out where do we go, because I am really, really worried between trucks and trains and dredging, and what do we do if aquifers are impacted. These are all things, these are all conversations that we have to have as a region, as neighbors. And I'd like to see something, I don't have anything specific in mind, but I think that conversation has to start at some point, because the odds of something going wrong, at least particularly in terms of those items I just mentioned, have gone up substantially. And that's really all I have to say. And again, thank you for this information. Thank you for coming down tonight. Really appreciate it. And I should also mention, Berkshire Regional Planning does great work. You've worked with this town, the town plan and that sort of thing, and we greatly appreciate that. This is a very specific item that I just think we need to address.
Well said, Bob.
Right.
Gordon, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I don't know if they want to address this at all. I know this MEMA region, headquartered in Agawam, they used to come out and they used to do help lead Berkshire County emergency management responses through fire and building and health and all those and also there was trainings. I think FEMA did the trainings on the ICS 100, 200, 300, and 400 series. I know I attended all those, and I was surprised to see some of the people who weren't there and some of the people who were there. And I know at one point, probably 15 years ago, we used to do tabletop emergency scenarios. And I don't know, I should check with Chief Brown and Chief DeSantis to see if that's still happening. I certainly hope so. And I don't know if does Berkshire Regional have anything to do with those, or is this a totally separate issue that we're talking about tonight?
So,
Yeah, I was going to invite you. We have a couple of members of the Berkshire Regional Planning, it looks like, with us. I was going to invite each of you up if you wanted to add anything. Please
Thanks.
just
Yeah.
identify yourselves. And
so Laura Ross, I'm the health program manager at Berkshire Regional Planning, and appreciate the kind words and any other information that you want. We're more than happy to supply. We always are, and we're more than happy to work with you. Our emergency preparedness funding is specifically to bring public health into the conversation, not to do the wider emergency planning. As the member mentioned, each town has a comprehensive emergency management plan. Those are supposed to be updated yearly. It's a requirement for MEMA, so that would be a starting place. But I think really where you need to take these concerns is to the regional emergency planning committees. They're always looking for select board members or for public official members to join. We do try to go to those meetings to give the public health point of view, but again, we are not, we're just a member. They meet, I think it's the third Wednesday of the month at 8 o'clock, and they vary around between Waynesboro, Pittsfield, Lennox. And so I think your concerns are really well founded. And I think that that's the group to start with, to get the kind of comprehensive emergency management plan you're looking at. Obviously, home rule, each town is always going to be each town. As far as hazmat stuff, the Pittsfield Fire Department has a lot of really great training and people there that are really equipped to deal with hazmat, and you have those mutual aid agreements. So again, I'm sure that your fire chief and your emergency management director are very aware of that. We could ask another question that This is escaping me at the moment.
Does it make sense to talk a little bit more about the RDCs, what they are?
So every, as we mentioned in our write-up, every community is required to have some kind of emergency committee to deal with specifically issues.
Right.
In Berkshire County, instead of each town, some towns still have local ones, but for the most part, it's the 3 regional emergency preparedness committees. You asked about tabletops. So that's where I was going to get next. So there's one in Central, which Lee and Lennox would be part of. As far as your town goes, Stockbridge is in the south. And then there's a Northern Berkshire Regional Emergency Planning Committee. They all meet monthly when they're happening. They don't always meet, but it's a great place. They really look at all hazards planning these days. They don't just do hazmat. And it's really a great place to go and hear about what kinds of plans, what kinds of tabletops, what kinds of emergencies. The hospital's usually there, so you can hear about what kinds of emergency exercises the hospital is running.
And who else is this? Police or?
It's mostly the emergency management directors. MEMA is always there. Some town managers go. Some public health people go. Specifically, we've always gone kind of to represent public health, but occasionally there's other, the director gets sealed off and goes to the central RPC, for example. The medical reserve corps is usually there. There's a whole list of disciplines that they want to be at the RPC meetings, and they're all, like I said, they're always looking for public officials. That's one of the hardest groups to get to those meetings. So they're always looking for participation from the public officials. The chair currently is Tom Brady from the Sheriff's Office, and Christine Iska from County Ambulance is the secretary. She would be the one to contact to get put on the list.
Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, I can send you Christine and Lieutenant Colonel Brady's information.
Chris Marston would add it too, right?
I would think so.
Yeah, if you want to send it, I can pass it along.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I'm sure that they're included on that list.
And you guys would be part of that as far as the health portion of that.
So I just go,
Right.
usually I send a staff member. Right now I don't have anybody to send, so it would probably be me. I go to make sure that, so for instance, I gave an update about measles a couple of months ago, and you know, the fact that we had vaccine in the county, the fact that Get Vaccinated Berkshires is a website that is available with the updated vaccine information and where to get vaccines. So I'm there to give that kind of update and to hear, you know, it's very interesting for me because sometimes I'm not aware of like lithium batteries and what an issue they are. So it's great for me to be there. And it's also good for us to be there because we'll hear about exercises and so on, and we can ask to be part of those. People still don't think of public health as an emergency responder or as emergency management. So sometimes we have to say, hey, we'd actually really like to be at that exercise about the train derailment, which I think was the most recent one that they did.
Mr. Chairman? Oh, go ahead. No, Bob, you
Who
go.
wants it first?
Bob does. Go for it.
So to be clear, and I'm sure you can understand why we might get confused, it's public health emergency preparedness has little to do with the items that I mentioned when I first spoke, except that you would have a place at the table for the side effects of those things. A pandemic.
Communication to the public, I would say. You know, we might be the ones that sent out to the boards of health and said, you know, there's no danger to anybody living more than 5 miles away from, here's what people living within 5 miles should worry about, and trying to help them get that information out. But no, in terms of how to respond to that emergency, I would never get in the way of the emergency management directors and the fire departments and the police departments who know how to do these kinds of things.
Yeah, which explains why, of course, our fire chief and our police chief have not heard from you in regard to emergency management. You've explained that, and I appreciate it. In terms of the items that I was speaking on.
Right.
Yeah, so, and there's a pretty clear breakdown of how that money was used. Again, I appreciate that. You received between $150,000 and $170,000 a year since 2019.
Right, and it's very
And,
similar,
yeah.
I went back as far as 2013, and the amounts were a
Pretty
little bit
similar.
less, but basically the same.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Gordon?
Yeah, so I was gonna get to the money part too, because one of the reasons this came up is because we've individually, not as a group, heard from members of the Tri-Town Health Department and others to say, you're getting all this money, what are you doing for it? You know, their questions. So this helps by having a list of issues. So is mainly this 169, is it all towards salaries? Is it for, computer systems that run, that you need to maintain, to be able to do all this work? In other words, I think that was one of their questions was, what are we getting for this money through Berkshire Regional Planning? What is your, what are your bulleted items? And reading through, it's very informative to see what your bulleted items are. But is most of this,
Yeah, so.
going to salaries, or is it maintenance of computer program? What exactly does the money go to?
Almost all of it is salaries at this
Okay,
point.
all right.
Most of those meetings, as you've seen, are very time intensive and, the work, so.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd say for the last at least 10, probably 15 years, it's been primarily salaries.
Is it earmarked specifically for Board of Health issues? Because I don't know where PHEP is, I don't know. Is that specifically for Board of Health employee, like people in Berkshire Regional Planning that deal with the health issues, or
Yes,
just
we're-
generically?
No.
Okay,
So
good.
specifically, so I usually have either a planner or a senior planner that's
Okay.
specifically for emergency preparedness.
Great.
The moment there's a vacancy, we don't think the money's actually gonna come through next year.
Yeah, probably not.
It's on the hit list from
Yeah.
the federal government.
Yeah.
and So it may or may not show up, but we're not
Sure.
filling that vacancy at this time.
Okay.
So it's mostly been a person who's worked on these issues, and then a couple of others of us who have done some of the meetings, built some of the relationships. Yeah.
Okay, and right now we're in fiscal year 2026 with no numbers. You have any hope or wish list of what you're hoping to see? Or are you getting totally stonewalled by the feds?
A little bit of both. So
Okay.
in theory, the federal fiscal year doesn't end until
Right,
September 30th.
right, yeah,
So in
true.
theory, the first 3 months of the year, the money is technically there.
Mm-hmm.
However, the state has made no promises. There's always a problem with getting our contract on
Sure.
July 1st with this money. This year, they've decided, I think probably appropriately, we're one of the few areas that doesn't do it through a contractor out of Boston
Okay.
and such. So they wanted Franklin Regional Council of Governments, the money comes
Sure.
from DPH, the Franklin Regional Council of Governments to us. They wanted them to do a procurement this year, which I think
Okay.
is fine,
Mhm.
except that they haven't done it yet. And so by the time it's done, it'll probably be September anyway.
When you say you mean the FCCIP hasn't put out a request for money, for a
COG?
contract? Yeah, for a COG, yeah, because the other's the inspection
So
program.
there's been no RFP yet.
Okay.
When we see that, we'll see if it's something that Berkshire Regional Planning Commission is able and
Okay,
desirous of doing. If it is, we'll certainly apply. If we think we can do good work in Berkshire County and help the boards of health and help
sure.
Berkshire County, and we always want to do that, we will certainly apply. If it's something where we feel like it's been written in such a way that we can't do good work, then we won't apply.
Okay,
I think it's probably better for Berkshire County if people in Berkshire County are doing the work, but maybe not.
okay, thank you.
But I think that there's a really good chance that this money's not coming through
Yeah.
in 2026,
Yeah, I can believe it.
which is unfortunate.
And
Would
Tom
it be
has-
helpful to the board,
Yeah, can't hear you, Tom.
would it be helpful to the board if there was a little more description of the public health program at the RPC? Because there's a lot of different elements to it. It's actually one of our larger program areas right at the moment.
Sure.
Yeah, this is a very important but relatively small part of the public health program at BOPC. I'd be happy to, it's in our annual report, but I'd be happy to write something up that just sort of describe the different things that the public health program does at Berkshire Regional Planning Commission.
That'd be helpful.
Something that we would find.
It's nice right now. And like this is,
We do a lot of overdose.
Really
prevention.
putting her on the spot.
I am.
We do a lot of overdose prevention work, a lot of youth prevention work, both with younger kids where we're not specifically doing prevention work around drug use,
Yeah.
but trying to build resiliency skills. We do prevention work with youth, where we have youth advisory boards, and we try to, again, build their skills, but it's a little bit more specific to avoiding substances. We do a lot of harm reduction and overdose prevention work where we've worked with the EMS companies across the county. We've worked really hard, though have not been successful so far, at trying to implement something called mobile integrated health or community EMS, which would allow EMS in their downtime to actually go to people's houses. So you have an older person who's fallen 4 times in the last 6 months, and this would allow them to actually go back, and then they always refuse transport. This would allow them to actually go back in a non-emergency situation and say, can we talk about your drugs that you're taking, and what time of day you're taking them? Can we talk about what the fall hazards are in your house? Are you eating okay? Do you need some other kind of, can I get you a flu vaccine while I'm here? Really came around with the overdose prevention, though, where, EMS goes back over and over again to reverse overdoses for the same people, and again, allowing them to go back in a non-emergency situation and talk to them. We have a lot of community health. We do a lot of climate resiliency work and a collaboration with our environmental program, and also separately, a lot of community engagement work. We've written, we are the backbone agency for the Community Health Improvement Plan, which Jan Smith from Chi-Town sits on that committee. We have a shared services arrangement through the Public Health Excellence Grant, which covers 23 members of the Berkshire Public Health Alliance, which I oversee, but 19 are part of our Public Health Excellence Grant, which is the state program that I'm sure you're familiar with through the Southern Berkshire Public Health Collaborative. We have the other 19 municipalities, one municipality in Berkshire County that's not part of either. So we provide comprehensive inspectional services to 11 municipalities. We provide public health nursing to 18 municipalities, and then some health education. We are also the training hub for Hampden and Berkshire County, where DPH has put into place workforce requirements for public health. Up until now, anybody could be a public health agent, could be a health agent. You needed more licensing to cut hair than you did to go out and inspect somebody's septic system. So they've put into place these workforce requirements. And as part of that, there's 3 tiers of training that people are expected to go through, one on their own, online, at their own time, a centralized training that's being done between DPH and Boston University, and then a third in the field, taking them around. There's also a classroom portion, and we are overseeing that for Berkshire and Hampden counties. What am I forgetting?
I think you covered it somewhere.
And then the public health emergency preparedness, which we've done for many years, which is really where we started, but we've grown.
Great, thank you. But
To be clear, that's quite a hefty punch list that you just ran through, and I'm sure it does. But just to be clear, the Public Health Emergency Preparedness Fund, the PHEP, that all doesn't get accomplished out of that fund, no.
Oh, no.
This is mostly salaries and administrative work and that sort of thing.
Yes, it's salaries, it's specifically salaries to go to all the meetings that we listed there, to do all the planning, the response. And it's allowed us to respond, for instance, during COVID and that kind of thing. What would we do?
Okay, thank you.
Sure, and again, anytime you have questions, please pick up the phone and call. I'm better on email, but pick up the phone, I'll return your phone call. I'm always happy to have those conversations and to tell you what's going on. And we always like the feedback too.
Yeah, I think we all hope to.
No, Tom had something.
Tom? Yeah, go ahead.
I think, Bob, you're spot on with, trying to get towns to cooperate on these bigger issues.
And if there's something that BRPC can do to help coordinate that, we'll be glad to do that. I think that's an important need. I mean, we're a regional planning agency, so that's what we like to have towns to try to work together. I mean, Laura mentioned the RAPCs as a starting point, but if there's something more that we can kind of build, working with your emergency responders, I'd be glad to work with you all on that.
Great, we obviously gave that.
Continue the conversation. So, I mean, are we satisfied at this point? I don't think we need to actually send them a letter, but we appreciate your attention anyway. So if there's nothing further, thank you for coming. We'll just keep cranking down the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, next item I asked Chris to put on a master plan status update. And
Yeah, do you want me to
you
give?
go
I can
ahead,
give a
yeah.
quick
If you wanna start, yeah, oh boy. This is something BRPC helped us with, so.
Yeah, I gotta find out what.
We're actually doing a lot.
Nothing.
No, oh, come on.
I'm kidding you, Tom. I'm just looking at Tom's face.
Yeah, I can do a quick.
Why don't you start,
introduction,
Chris?
Sean,
Yeah.
but, Brooke is here virtually if you have questions.
Great.
But yeah, so we obviously finished this plan about a year ago. We've had a planner for about 6 months right now. But I think it's been really good. We've made a lot of great progress. So there was over 100 action items on that plan. And right now, we consider about 12% of those to be completed for a 20-year plan. I think that's a great start for, there's about 39% that we consider in progress and about 49% that haven't been addressed yet. But again, it's a 20-year plan. We're 6 months into it.
I don't
so
expect
think
us to get to everything
So-
either. With 100 line items, maybe we won't quite get to everything, but maybe in 20 years we will. I don't know. Prove me wrong, Chris.
I don't know if I'll be here in 20 years
And
to
Brooke,
prove you
right?
wrong.
Yeah.
But each area on the sheet that I gave you is listed out by economy, and you'll see all of the action items there and the individual status on that. And we have housing and residential neighborhoods, and then it's divided up, open space and recreation, transportation, and community services and facilities, and I believe municipal utilities. Oh, sorry, municipal utilities, and then historic and cultural resources.
Right.
So, I could say each one, if it doesn't say anything next to it, it hasn't been started yet. But, Brooke, I know if you can hear me there, if there's anything you want to add, or if any of the board members have questions for Brooke, she's available to answer that, but.
Yeah, I don't have anything else I'd like to add, but definitely we've gotten some really good progress in some categories, especially like the open space category. And there are also some categories that we need to start diving into that haven't really been touched yet, like transportation or municipal utilities. So I'm so far very excited that we've had the progress that we have, and certainly we're not slowing down anytime soon. But if you all have any specific questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess my sort of intention with this was to sort of kind of see where we're at and put a finger on the pulse a little bit, and then maybe we can all kind of take a look at this, and maybe in subsequent meetings we can bring up. I didn't expect us to get through all of it tonight, or go through everything with 100 line items, but maybe after we download a little bit and look through it and figure out what's in progress, what's complete, or what we might want to address in the near future. That might be something that we all discuss and even instruct different committees to take a look at, because it's not just the town planner or Chris or the select board that is identified on these action items. So we might want to give some committees some assignments is my thought. And if you guys have anything to add, go ahead.
No, I think that's well said.
Is this on the website?
It's not, but we're happy to add that if you'd like.
The plan is, but this progress
Oh, yeah,
update isn't.
The progress
yeah,
update is,
yeah.
but the plan is definitely on there, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, a lot of the things in progress are grants that Brooke has applied for, but we haven't heard back on them yet. So a lot of them we won't know about till the fall, but, others are just long-term projects that, you know, it's not gonna happen in a month. It's gonna take a few years, but we've got, you know, the first, you know, it started, so.
Some things were even in progress when we were finishing the plan,
True.
so
That's true.
maybe that was the committee cheating a little bit, I don't know.
But yeah, I think we're off to a really good start, and it's nice to see this getting followed, which some plans, you know, we have tend to collect dust, you know.
Trying not to.
Definitely
Trying
not
not to.
happening so far with this, so.
Right.
Good.
All right, so if there's nothing further on the status update, we will just move right ahead. Next, we have an appointment to make. This is something actually that we've started as part of the master plan initiatives as a Parks and Rec committee. And we have another member to consider appointing, Joan D'Angelo. We got a email inquiry from her. She's on the Lee Greener Gateway and the Land Trust, so I would entertain a motion if one of you would like to make it to appoint her to the Parks and Rec committee.
Mr. Chair, I move we appoint Joan D'Angelo to the Parks and Rec Committee.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, and if there's nothing further on that, I will call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next item of our agenda, and is Alex here to
He is,
speak
yeah.
to the Neighborhood Ninjas, which I know is an interesting, I don't know what to call it, event? Not maybe not event, or I don't know, what would you call it, Alex?
What would I call what?
The neighborhood Ninjas.
It's a structure, a playground.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Neighborhood Ninjas is the name of the nonprofit organization, and then we are building the Ninja Fit Playground.
Yeah, and do you hold, is the idea to hold it like an event or some sort of, or is it just, this is at the athletic field, right?
Yeah.
Correct, so it'll be at the athletic field. We are aiming for spring of 2026 for a community build and a grand opening event.
Yeah,
And then once that is complete, we will be doing a ton of free community classes, workshops, and other events.
great.
And Alex is here tonight. She's presented a number of things to the board before. There was a new addition to their fundraising campaign, which we felt should go to the board because it involves town property being the athletic field, and it's the installation of benches that would be sponsored and by sponsors of the Ninja course. And my understanding is it does involve they would be attached in concrete, so
These are fixed benches.
correct,
Yeah.
and pending no objections from the select board, Alex, so she would have to go to Concom next due to the floodplain, so.
How many benches are we talking about?
So they are being donated by a local camp, which is great. They provide benches for other local parks as well. And it's being supervised by somebody who does this professionally. They're able to donate as many as we would like. I know that as far as the ninja community, there are 2 ninjas that live, families that live within an hour who have family members that passed away, like ninjas that passed away recently that we want to dedicate 2 benches to. And then I believe Kathy Hall mentioned somebody she wanted to dedicate a bench to as well. And so I was thinking 4, but if there are other members of the Lee community that would like to use a bench to do some sort of dedication, we're definitely able to do more pending approval by the Conservation Committee.
How do you guys feel about benches?
Well,
There would.
you want to go about it?
Wood
Yeah,
and
yeah.
concrete, like sonotube footing, I'm assuming?
Yes, most likely, yes. That's how we did it for the playground that we did in Delaware.
So my only thought, if you're going in front of conservation, you're gonna have to have a plot plan showing
Yeah.
where these are going, you
Yeah.
know, the volume that they're taking up in the floodplain area and all that, so, you know, it would be great if, when you submit to them, if you could also submit that site plan to us, so that the individual board members here can at least take a look at where we're talking about, like, are they gonna be along the fence where the tennis courts are they over near the pavilion, you know, where, it would be great for us to have a look at it and also share with our new Parks and Recreation Committee.
Perfect.
So I think all
We
that
haven't
needs
met
to be
yet,
out
but,
there, I know,
yeah.
well, I'm sure you, you will though, you will be meeting,
That's why
you will
we're
be.
talking to you.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right, so, yeah, it would be good, so, yeah, it would be, I mean, I'm not against any of that, I
No,
just
I'm not against
wanna
it
see
either,
a
but
layout, see where you think you're
share-
putting them.
Yeah, obviously, we wouldn't want to interfere with any of the other
No,
activities down at
exactly.
the athletic
Right.
field, so that's might be something that we'll want to consider
Yeah.
as you move forward, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I will say what I think the vision is just have them line the perimeter of the course that we are building. So the course that we're building is going to have the core in place, rubber surfacing, and all of that has already gone through conservation committee. It's going to have kind of a perimeter to it, kind of like a boundary to it. So I have to talk with kind of our engineer for the playground to see if the benches can actually just be put within the rubber surfacing. It has to be a certain amount of feet away from every obstacle. So if we can fit it in there, then that's, I think, the easy thing because it's already been approved. And then if not, then it's going to just basically be along that perimeter on the outside. And the day of service, essentially, that this camp will be building the benches is July 30th. So I just found out about this. I plan to kind of, go through all of the steps and get all of the mock-ups for it. But I did want to put it, in front of you all for this meeting, given that I don't think you meet again, prior to when they need approval for all of their day of service plans.
Okay.
It's fine, I think, keep going forward with it.
Sounds great. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
You also.
We have one item that came up, moving on down the agenda. This is an application for a one-day alcohol beverage license, and it's for an event by the Lee Lions Club. Testimonial from, is that Tom Swift? Yeah.
Yep.
And the location here, 325 Fairview Street, 2 to 6. It's a local farm event. There is a rain date. This is October 26th is the date that they'd
I think
like.
it's July, isn't it?
Is that July? Oh, I
7?
don't know.
I don't know.
I saw an
I think it
old-
says 07.
Oh geez, I can't read. Now my eyes are going.
No, you're not.
Is it the
27th.
26th?
26th of 2025.
Sorry.
But it's July.
July? I don't know why I said it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
July.
July 26th. Thank you, Gordon.
No problem. No problem.
July 26th is the date with a rain date of the 27th. So I
Picnic for
don't.
fellow Lions and families, cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good time for
Lee
them.
Lions picnic, and there's some accompanying information here with tip certified. And Sabrina, did I miss something?
We're good.
Okay, good.
It looks good.
Yeah, so I'd entertain a motion for approval.
Sure. Well, Mr. Chairman, I would be happy to make a motion to approve the special one-day alcoholic beverage license for July 26th, or in case of rain, for the following day on July 27th at 325 Fairview Street for the Lions Club, and have the chair sign.
Second.
And if there's no further discussion, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that brings us to the end of our general business and the town administrator's report. So Chris, I will hand it off to you.
So, first thing is we did receive all of our filed sub bids for the public safety building this week.
Very exciting.
So everything looking good so far on that, and we will have GC bids in about another week. So So hopefully by the next meeting, we should have some exact numbers to share with the board, so. And we still anticipate to be on schedule for mobilization of the general contractor in the month of August, so.
Good.
Also wanted to mention, we did hire a new land use assistant / conservation agent. They'll be starting next week,
Wow.
the 7th.
Great.
And I also wanted to introduce Sam, who's in the back here. Sam Cashman is interning at Town Hall this summer, and that's why he's here tonight. So,
Okay.
and is going to be a senior at Lee High School, interested in public policy.
Great.
So thank you, Sam. He's been working at Town Hall the last couple weeks and working on a number of different projects. So, and lastly, I just want to remind everyone that the Smithsonian exhibit will be continuing through July 18th. And since we won't have another meeting before that, that will be our last plug for the museum at the Outlet Mall.
Great. Can I ask, what's the anticipated time frame? And obviously, construction is construction, but with the public safety building?
So as of right now, we're still on for an opening, hopefully in March of 2027. So, and the Quonset hut is down now.
Right.
Finally.
Yeah. Good. Okay. That was all. You guys have anything
No.
to add tonight? So we will not be meeting again in July. So our next meeting will be August 5th. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.